South Africa is not just standing on the edge of a turning point. It is standing on the edge of history. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Today, right now. Because President Cyril Ramaphosa has put pen to paper and signed into law not one but two acts so powerful, so far-reaching, that they could reshape the very soul of this nation. This is not politics as usual. This is not another headline you scroll through on your phone while waiting in traffic. This moment is different. These signatures are more than ink. They are a declaration that South Africa refuses to be trapped in its past, refuses to be paralyzed by broken promises, and refuses to let injustice or exclusion determine its future. For years, people have been tired. Tired of promises made from podiums that never reached the crowded trains of Soweto, the dusty playgrounds of rural Limpopo, or the tiny kitchens of the Eastern Cape, where families wonder if tomorrow will really be better. But today, something has changed. These two laws are not speeches. They are action. They are answers to the cries of ordinary South Africans. To the grandmother in Johannesburg praying for safer roads. To the student in KwaZulu-Natal struggling to learn in a language that isn't his own. To the father in Cape Town who wants to trust the police who swore to protect him. This is the moment that cuts through the noise and says, change starts now. The first law is about accountability. The kind South Africans have been waiting for their whole lives. For too long, accountability was a whispered word, never a lived reality. We know the stories. A mother in Khayelitsha still setting the dinner table for a son who never came home after a late-night police encounter. A taxi driver in Durban harassed week after week at checkpoints, stripped of dignity through intimidation and bribes. A young student in Pretoria, bright-eyed and hopeful, abused by those sworn to protect him, yet silent, because he believed nothing would change. For years, these stories were met with shrugs, excuses, and the heavy silence of a system that looked away. But now, something is shifting. This new law is not just ink on paper. It is a hammer striking the walls of impunity. It creates true, independent police oversight. No more loopholes. No more hiding behind rank or uniform. Every complaint must be investigated. Every abuse must face consequences. The badge is no longer a shield from justice. It becomes a symbol of responsibility. Imagine it, a South Africa where a mother no longer fears a knock on the door at night. Where a taxi driver at a checkpoint feels respected, not humiliated. Where a student knows their complaint will be heard and acted upon. Step by step, case by case, trust begins to rebuild. Not overnight, not by magic, but through action. And then comes the second law. Different in focus, but just as powerful. A law not about crime or punishment, but about something essential, language, dignity, and the right to be heard. For too long, language has been a silent wall in South Africa. Not made of bricks, but of confusion, frustration, and exclusion. Picture a grandmother in Limpopo, frail but proud, walking into a hospital with chest pains. She tries to explain, but the nurse doesn't understand her language. Her words are lost, and so is her chance for help. Or a child in a crowded classroom, hungry for knowledge, but struggling because the lessons come in a language that feels foreign, heavy, like carrying someone else's burden. Or a man in a long government queue, his accent exposing him, his forms dismissed, his voice ignored, not because he lacks rights, but because he lacks the language expected. These are not inconveniences. They are injustices. Wounds that leave millions feeling like strangers in their own country. But now, this new law declares that every voice counts. It establishes a council of trained, ethical language practitioners placed where they are needed most: hospitals, schools, police stations, courtrooms, government offices. For the grandmother, it means being able to describe her pain and be heard. For the child, it means learning with pride in the rhythm of their own culture. For the man in the office, it means dignity and recognition. The right to understand your diagnosis. The right to defend yourself in court without being lost in translation. The right to be educated in a language that carries your history, your songs, your identity. Now step back and see the bigger picture. Two laws signed on the same day. One demands accountability, justice, and safety. The other restores dignity, voice, and belonging. Together, they are more than legal text. They are a vision of a South Africa where people can walk without fear and speak without shame. A country where the law protects your body, and language protects your soul. But here's the truth, laws alone cannot save us. Paper does not heal wounds. Ink does not change lives. It is not the president's signature that transforms South Africa, it is us. Change depends on what we, the people, do with this moment. Will we shrug and scroll past? Or will we demand accountability, insist on access to language, and use our rights, not just on paper but in practice? Because history is not written in speeches or signatures. It is written in neighborhoods, classrooms, and clinics. It is written in the way ordinary people bring promises to life. So don't stand on the sidelines. Talk about these laws with your family, in taxis, in classrooms, on WhatsApp groups. Debate them. Question them. Spread them. This is not just a government story. It is our story. And how it ends will depend not on one man's pen, but on millions of voices. The first law is a shield. A shield for the mother in Soweto who calls the police without fear. For the student in Pretoria who trusts the system to deliver justice. For communities that once whispered about corruption but now dare to speak. The second law is a mirror reflecting every culture and language of this land. It is the grandmother in Limpopo finally describing her pain. The child learning freely in their mother tongue. The worker in Cape Town knowing their language will not be dismissed. This law whispers to every South African, you belong. You are heard. You matter. Now imagine them together, justice on one side, dignity on the other. Body and soul. A South Africa where flashing blue lights mean safety, not fear. Where classrooms echo with every mother tongue. Where no one is silenced because of language. These two laws are not just reforms. They are foundations for a new chapter, unity as a reality, not a slogan. But change is not a gift from above. Paper laws will crumble if people do not breathe life into them. Real change happens when citizens demand it, protect it, and carry it forward. When teachers remind children their language is strength. When families teach that justice is not abstract, but real. This is not politics as usual. This is not another speech to be forgotten. This is change, but only if we make it so. The storm of transformation is gathering. And the question is no longer if it will break, but whether you will watch as a spectator, or shape it with courage, conviction, and your voice.